right?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a cotton picking minute. Has anyone here seen Iron Lung, or is it just me?
I've seen it.
I've seen it.
We can just talk about that since freaking Rabbit brought up Distractable. Let's talk about Iron Lung.
Man, well, now you gotta leave that whole bit in.
God damn it.
So, I can't wait to get copyright striked by Marky. We're gonna have his signature with a little document he sends us. A cease and desist order signed by Markiplier. And we got his signature, boys.
Look, last I checked, the only time he does that kind of stuff is if it deals with Unis Honest and trying to revive it.
People are still trying to do that?
I mean,
what, Iron Lung?
Yeah, and Unis Honest.
No, I mean, Unis Honest had a lot of like iconic moments, but I'm surprised at this point it's still such a big thing of like trying to revive it. Like it's been dead for how long now? Several years at this point.
5 years at least, yeah.
I mean, yeah, honestly.
They had a 5-year anniversary.
Oh. Basically, you know what Unis Honest is at all, or do you want to actually explain?
I have no idea who that is. You guys are just saying.
Basically, Markiplier and Ethan, which is Crank Gameplays, did a channel for 1 year, and with the entire premise that after a year, they would just delete the entire channel and all of its content. And every day they would post something new, some new challenge, something stupid, basically. And a lot of people made like clips and highlights and stuff of that content and have been trying to like repost it, basically, like the glory days kind of thing. And that's what the Rabbit was saying is like, Mark just says, no, the whole point of it was after it's dead, it's dead. Memento mori, let it die. Like it's going to not be something you bring back from the grave. There's no Frankenstein monster over here.
I don't think that they ultimately care at this point anymore, but it was something when it first happened that they were trying to knock down people, or not knock down, but knock down the content that was being reposted from Unis Honest. Basically going, it's dead. Stop trying to bring it back. It's supposed to be deleted from the internet. That was the reason why we deleted the channel. Nothing is permanent.
The whole point of Unis Honest, it means 1 year. You had a year. Now it's done. Let it die.
Yeah. But,
Yeah. Speaking of Markiplier, right? Like, as you were saying, we can move on to his new fad, the big movie that's been in production for 4 years, 5.
Troy Baker, by the way, great voice actor. Loved him in the movie.
Who was he in the movie?
What do you mean? Who was he in the movie?
Who was he? Who is he?
He was the girl. He was the girl voice.
He was the what now?
He was the girl voice that was talking to Mark.
Ah.
Or whatever.
I get it now.
Fucker's name was. I forgot the character name in the movie.
So before we get into this, we should probably, and I know it's a bit late to say this, but spoilers are ahead. We're going to be talking about the movie, and I don't know if it's even still out right now. I don't know if it's got like another extended weekend or something. But if you care, this might not be the episode for you. So you've been warned. Beyond this point, no return.
Bro, Jacksepticeye fucking dies, bro. It's crazy.
Still trapped inside that wormhole, I see.
Yeah. XQC fucking dies, bro. It's wild. Just random streamers.
Man, it was so crazy when insert your favorite streamer here died inside of that.
It's crazy when Queso showed up and just fucking saved Markiplier. It was wild.
Man, Matt Pat was a great cameo.
No, it wasn't. It was the worst one. What are you talking about?
It came in as Ness. Or was that a different movie?
I was going to say, when he said his iconic line of he'll always be back, man, chills.
My favorite part is when like the submarine was breaking down and he said the answer was the friends we made along the way. And then he just fucking, it kept fade to black.
And then he grabbed the controller and it imploded. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Revolutionary.
And Freddy Fazbear hit the Dougie. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
That was a bit too far for my take.
Freddy Fazbear.
No, I mean the other word that you said.
Hit the Dougie.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Teach me how to Dougie. You don't remember that? What?
I don't know what it
Yeah,
means.
his age is
I didn't
showing.
say I don't remember it.
You don't know what it is?
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Teach me how to Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie.
Don't worry, George. I know what you're talking about.
Nobody asked you anal beads.
What the? You can't. Now you got to bleep that out. What the hell? Whatever, man. You're the one editing it, so I don't care that much. Speaking of editing, dude.
Babbitt?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. We're looking at the bottom right. Look in the bottom right. I can't. It's squinting. It's at bleep this out too. 4 minutes and 34 seconds. Yeah, there you go.
I'm bleeping what I said out. I'm not bleeping what you said out because fuck.
What the? Oh my god.
Well, I was just going to start with a little bit of what's going on in our lives. Small talk, you know.
Oh, okay.
I'm editing.
How's our week? Oh,
I hate it.
Wow. That's, He hates editing.
How do you guys
You know,
do this for fucking living?
I know of a terrible editor that could help you.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if anyone can help me with this stuff. It feels like I'm doing the most basic garbage, and it's infuriating because there's just no easy way to like just do what I'm imagining, because it's you got all these fancy like bells and whistles, and there's this like tracking software thing that I can put a fusion node like dot or whatever and tracks everything. It doesn't work. It just breaks. I've looked it up. There's like 4 or 5 different types of these things. They all break. I even did the one special to what all I wanted to do is follow my guy and just move the camera automatically so I don't have to make so many damn key points or keyframes or whatever they're called. And it's infuriating.
Like
anyway.
Mark sounds like an old man.
Because I am.
This newfangled technology can't be done with how you do it. How you do this newfangled technology?
It's the classic argument. This is the most complicated piece of garbage I've ever had to use in terms of technology, and it still can't do the basic things. Why not?
Yes. Why not?
I remember a video I edited a long time ago. This is like before I even tried YouTube as a thing or whatever. It was like I'm still in high school, and that's when they had Sony Vegas, Windows Movie Maker. There's another one. I think people use Audacity for audio back in the day.
Yeah, they did.
But yeah, Windows Movie Maker. I was editing videos on that, and I'm like, how did people do like graphic animation and shit like that on their videos back in that day? Because I had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, I think it's kind of cool how far it's come. Like, so much shit now you can do in one program.
Yeah, I do, and I do agree with that on the like, the amount of stuff that you can do is insane. But sometimes I have to admit that it's just one of those things where it's very tedious, right?
Yes.
And the amount of things that I wish I could just like have it just do, but I can't due to the fact that it's like it's a learning curve, right? And I have a vision for some of these things,
right? But
I can't like enact that vision because it takes like sometimes it takes me 2 hours to make a single clip, like a 16-second clip. Sometimes takes me up to 2 hours to make. And I just it's not sustainable.
Too many fancy things with it.
No, it's literally just me learning Resolve, man. I'm just learning how to actually move things.
You're learning the advanced
I don't use
stuff.
Resolve though, but are you using the free or the paid, the premium thing?
Paid.
So yeah, you should. I mean, okay, that makes a lot of sense, but it's a learning curve. Like for me, I still use Premiere Pro because I'm too lazy to switch over, and they gave me like instead of paying like $40-$50 a month, I'm only paying like $25-$30. It's like a promo or whatever. So I'm keeping it, but I don't know how Resolve works, but in Premiere Pro, you can set a bunch of presets where for me, making a clip with all the effects I want, I went ahead and like, that's a long time ago, but I've made the effects, made them as a preset. So all I have to do is literally drag and drop on the timeline and it does exactly what I want. Obviously with adjustments here and there, but it takes me like, if I wanted to make a clip of a short of exactly what I wanted, it takes me like 5 minutes, just because I have every preset set up for exactly what I want. But I don't know
Right, and
how if
that's
Resolve has that, but yeah, sure it does. But
it does and it doesn't. It does, but in different ways from what I understand it to be. The main problem though is that you already have those presets made. I'm starting from scratch and I don't edit anything at all. The only editing experience I have before making all of these shorts was that one video that I made, and it took me 4 months to make that video. No, longer than that. 6 months. It took me 6 months to make that one video. Um,
You're talking
and
about your over
around
analysis video?
yeah, and 4 of the 6 months were editing. The first 2 months I spent just writing scripts and like I have so much documentation on that video. I have like uh bless you. I have
Thank you.
like 4 or 5 different Word documents, each about like 50 to 100 pages each. And then I have several Excel files comparing like terms and definitions and stuff. I did a whole bunch of work. I went overkill on that video. I admittedly, but that's my only experience with like any editing software. Period. Right? And back then I was using DaVinci free. I wasn't even using the paid version. So now I'm spending the time though. I don't even want to do this. I had to do this because Twitch had their stupid clip feature break and made it so I couldn't edit the videos through Twitch anymore. And now that I've gone up in quality, I don't want to go back down in quality, assuming that Twitch feature works, especially since I never know when it's going to break again in the future. So, the
Oh yeah, Twitch's features
little
just
things.
constantly break. It is such a coin flip as to if the Twitch app, when editing uh, the clips to be a vertical format, is actually going to work
Mhm.
or not. And it's just like,
Yep.
why does sometimes it works great and then other times it is the most pull your hair out situation? I'm gonna go bald.
Yeah. This is why he has the hat on.
Yeah,
yeah, that's what
exactly.
has them.
But yeah, I feel like I honestly though, it's also one of those like I don't know. I almost tempted to just take a vacation or something to do nothing but learn how to edit. And I really don't want to do that because I have very limited vacation in some essences. Um and I really don't want to waste it on just spending time having to sit down and develop a workflow so that I can actually not pull my hair out doing editing cuz okay, I'll put it this way. The first week where I had to edit my own videos, I had to pull an all-nighter and I had to go to work the next day after uh staying up all of Sunday night editing 14 clips just to upload and schedule them all so I didn't have to worry about it for the next week. And then last Sunday I had to do it again. So, it it's one of those I can't keep doing this every single Sunday pulling an all-nighter nonsense.
I
I'm
remember
too
my
old for
first
that.
time being a content creator.
Oh yeah? And then you develop systems and workflows. And now you just drag and drop.
Yep.
And then you point and laugh at people who have to do the same.
But then you get so lazy you can't drag and drop because you're just that damn lazy.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
fair.
my
But that's another
god.
thing. That's burnout though. I think more so than anything. I just
Yeah.
uh
And that's I
yeah.
think also one of the reasons why like recently Rabbit and I are readjusting our content in terms of like what we're streaming, how we're streaming it. It's mostly just to adjust to our own like preferences, I think. I think we did a mini experiment, which we can talk a little bit on that if you want. We're gonna be not doing like different stylistic content. We're gonna try to be more consistent just because it works better for what we do. Um and that comes
Uh-huh.
with the experimentation and that comes with the burnout because it's like I don't want to keep doing something if eventually it's just not like oh god, now I got to go do this stupid game. All right, let's boot it up, I guess.
I will say, I will say, in the experiment, I decided to do a little chaos on Saturday, and
Mhm.
I played Poppy Playtime, Chapter 5. My
Okay.
stream
Good
was
game.
going pretty good. Lots of people were coming in, lots of people were talking. It was a lot more different than Arc Raiders or uh more Arc Raiders than anything else, honestly.
Yeah. And that's the same reason why I'm not doing like the finals on Fridays anymore. I'm not doing Arc Raiders. I'm trying to move away from PvP in terms of like matchmaking PvP because it's just not the kind of viewer engagement that Rabbit and I are good at, especially solos. So I feel like it's gonna be one of those things where I'll be on people's streams and I'll play the games in my own time, but I can enjoy that on my own, just because I enjoy it. But in terms of actual content and being funny for people and being lighthearted and doing stupid and silly things, I'll stick to like Souls likes and Metroidvanias and freaking
Player
base
versus
builders if I really
environment
want to.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Plants vs
Like we can play
Zombies.
or Unknown Species, Peak, those kinds of games as well. Like I'll be
Five
down to
Nights
do
at
those as well.
Diddy's. You know.
That's what?
Huh?
Anyway.
Huh?
I don't remember that being the person. Is this still the baby oil from last night? You're just reusing that?
It's from the same drum of oil, bro. It's from the same drum.
Oh, same drum.
Yep.
I see.
100%.
Oh, well, enough about my editing woes. Let's talk about, I guess, Iron Lung.
I'll just go fuck myself, I guess.
Wait, your day. Go your day. What's how's your day? How are you doing?
Poor
Who are you?
George. Who are you, George? What do you do?
Nothing much going on. So yeah, Iron Lungs
okay.
actually is a pretty decent movie, you know. I actually really enjoyed it. It was a lot long. It didn't feel like it was as long as it was. It was like what, 2.5 hours or something like that. It didn't feel like 2.5 hours. It felt like fucking shorter than that
It
because
felt like an hour video, yeah.
yeah, it kept me interested, and it looked like something I wouldn't be interested in. But I mean, obviously, I wanted to support Mark because he's a great content creator. But I never played the game, so I had no pre-existing like thought on the plot of what to expect. But I
You
think
watched
it was
people
a
play the game?
pretty. No, I've never watched people play it. I've never seen Mark play it. I've never seen anyone touch the game. Did Otter play it, or Rabbit? Did you play it?
I did not play it. Otter did play it. I watched
watch him
Markiplier
yeah.
play it. I watched a couple people play Iron Lung.
Okay,
And
yeah,
then
I watched
Lixian
Morgan,
made an Iron Lung like game, and I don't remember what it was called though.
Yeah, I had no exposure to it before the movie. So I mean, but Christy, same thing. I don't think she's seen anyone play it. So but it was a nice surprise though. Me and her really liked it. It was a good movie, and I would actually go and see it again because apparently there's like some stuff there that I missed, little nuances and nods to the game. But I think though that like just the overarching like theme of the movie was pretty. I liked it because it wasn't the traditional like horror scary shit. It was like more of like a psychological take plus like supernatural, which I thought was really cool. So
there was a lot of build up for sure, and
Yeah,
I do
would say.
understand.
I'll go for it. Keep going.
Well, I was gonna say I do understand why some people didn't enjoy the movie and a lot of the critiques, which all kind of boiled down to the first half was very long feeling, and then when it got to the end, that's when a lot of the good stuff was going on. It's like, yeah, I get that mindset, but that buildup was kind of necessary if that at all makes sense.
Yep,
yeah, makes sense.
That makes total sense. And that's what I was gonna kind of get at is that part of that specifically is a natural form of storytelling. In order to make something feel impactful, you have to get people invested. You have to get their attention, and you have to explain it in a way where it makes sense to the viewer. And the better you are at storytelling, the less amount of time you need to convey all of the information that you need to convey and simultaneously hook the audience on whatever's happening. And I do think that this was one of those types of films where it was more of the fact that it was a breath of fresh air than a like absolute piece of perfection, like one of the best movies ever made. I wouldn't go that
Yeah.
far. I just think that it's a great step back for movie making. And the reason why I want to phrase it like that is because I feel like a lot of times it's the over engineering problem where one of the famous quotes you learn when you're going through engineering school is like, there's a story of a truck running into a bridge because it was a few inches too tall and he thought he had clearance. And so a bunch of engineers, a bunch of civil engineers, a bunch of random people will basically come out to try to resolve the problem of getting the truck through the bridge and like make the traffic flow again effectively. And all of these engineers and all of these like scientists, they're all like, let's cut a section of the bridge, we'll lift it with the crane, and but then we're now diverting two forms of traffic. And a little girl comes up and is like, why don't you just deflate the tires? And all the engineers look at her and then look at the tires. They take the measurements and like, yeah, that would work.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's the simple things that are just the better solution. And I think that's what Iron Lung was, is like there was a lot of things that were not conveyed in the best way possible, but it was understandable. It was kind of relatable in a lot of cases. It all of the decisions made sense. The story made sense. And on top of that, if you know the backstory, he involved the creator of the game in the actual development process of the movie. So he was being true to the original material. He was developing and iterating upon it in his own unique way, effectively. And everything made sense within the universe of Iron Lung. Now, things were there was a couple of open-ended questions and a couple things that were not necessarily explained, but that's fine. They did it in a way where the core of what happened and all of the events in the movie made a cohesive story that just made sense. And
Mhm.
I personally had the opposite opinion, though, that I think that there's a lot of times I felt like they were just killing time. But I think they did that as a rudimentary way to develop the audience's attention on what's happening and getting them invested simply because they're not wasting, but they're investing their time in what's happening. They feel like they've spent a lot of time watching this person, watch water drip onto his skin and it burn off into steam and be like, man, it's really hot in here. Like those scenes weren't really needed, but it kind of got you more invested as you went
Well,
along.
the Steam, doing it once or twice made a lot of sense because they were trying to give an idea as to, because in the game apparently fires would happen
Yep.
if I remember
Yeah.
correctly, and so they needed to explain to some degree why the hell is there fire going off in this
Why do you have a
submarine.
fire extinguisher?
Yeah, why do you have a fire extinguisher? So it being hot in the iron lung itself made a lot of that's why they focused on it a little bit. I think a little too long
Hmm.
that they focused on it, but
Hmm.
because I do agree that you could probably take out maybe 20 minutes of the movie and still have it do all the impactful stuff that you wanted it to do, because it was a little
I
meandering.
agree. I think it's a little bit more than 20 minutes, though, in my opinion. I
Probably
think you could
I'm
probably
being
remove like 40 or 50.
I'm being generous with the amount that could be removed, but the end result is the movie being 2 hours doesn't feel like it really needed to be 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that part. I think that there is a lot of the content that I personally would have been like, I wouldn't have left it in for the sake of the movie. But as you said, it's to tie it into the game. And the reason why I don't like that as a movie perspective is the fact that if you're shoehorning something in just because it's a reference to the game and an homage to the game, it can easily break the immersion of what's happening inside of the movie itself. And I feel like that sometimes that did kind of happen, specifically with, I know we're focusing on the fire a bit too much, but like the time passaging and the like water dripping and turning into steam and all of the various like the amount of focus they had on that fire for the only payoff to be the one time a fire actually did happen and it to be resolved in like 5 seconds. That to me was like I was expecting at least a bit more of a punchline, given how much they focused on it.
Yeah, yeah. And, the other thing that I started really focusing on, because they kind of made it sound like it was an important point, was the oxygen level. The little
Hmm.
dots on the wall. It's like it went down so slowly, to the point of, will it ever will it ever get to a threatening level? And then they make a comment about how it's just like it's been stuck on the one spot for forever. Am I ever running out of air or whatever? It's like, yeah, I'm wondering the same thing. What's going on with your oxygen level? Because you haven't had a chance to go back up to get it refilled in any way, shape, or form, especially after you x-rayed a whole bunch of people.
Mm. Yeah.
I remember watching a short on the X-ray, like people talking about it, like the amount of rads that thing would produce to get the images. Because again, the liquid there that the person's in is blood, right? And blood's a very
Yeah.
thick, viscous liquid. But in order to get images like the one they were getting underwater of like the monster, the skeleton, or whatever. So it's funny, like after I kind of picked up, before I saw the explanation, I'm like, I kind of picked up on that, like when Mark finally sees the creature, and they're like, I see a skeleton. I'm like, that's not a skeleton, bro. you're you're using an X-ray to shoot radiation outside and get an image through like uh, molecules and shit like that or whatever, or bouncing off with the radiation. That's not like taking a picture. That's taking like a snapshot that's made of like radiation and getting the image of whatever bounces back at the machine. So like when he's like, I see a skeleton, I'm like, no, that's a that's a monster. That's something that's
Yeah.
alive. That's not dead. But um,
Yeah.
it,
I
it
Yeah,
just
you
think that's
found out.
also
yeah, yeah.
that's also the whole point of like what the originator was kind of going for, but it also really fed into the fact that like not only he didn't know about the images, right? But the fact that they would use like tectonic plate shifting kind of stuff as a rationale for why an entire skeleton the size of like I that thing had to be the size of several buildings,
Queso.
right? Jesus.
Bigger than queso, bro.
Yes, yes, the entire yeah, he queso after he had the entire menu from McDonald's. Yes,
Yep.
the he got supersized and then he turned into one of the Leviathan creatures from Iron Lung. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
That though was a pretty interesting detail of like, yeah, it can just move. It's like, what do you mean it can just move? No, like the amount of like tidal forces that would have been incurred by the plates shifting and all of the stuff happen like you knew something was wrong. You as both an audience person and even as a person in that ship, you would have to know like something doesn't quite sit right with that. But yeah, no, I also did enjoy the direction though, like of the story. Um, it was very vague, and I was actually okay with that. I was a little disappointed that they didn't like go deeper in terms of the storyline, especially given how much time they used, in my opinion, as a waste. Like I feel like a lot of the time skip stuff that they did could have been spent more on the when the girl was on the speaker, right? Like something to do more with that. I think would have been a more interesting angle. Maybe have them have like extra oxygen or something, and that explains how the oxygen meter never went down. You know?
Yeah, I think the more idea with that, so because I was thinking about that for a while, and it feels like because there's some sort of cosmic entity involved with all this, that there was some sort of cosmic timey-wimey wibbly wobbly reality shifting kind of shenanigans going on for sure.
It definitely could be possible given the fact that he was a criminal from a space station kind of thing, and given what kind of stories that are usually entailed with a I didn't mean to do it, I didn't do anything, I swear it wasn't me kind of storyline. My understanding is that he did something at the space station where he basically abandoned his duties in some way, shape, or form, and got blamed for not doing something terrible because he just didn't agree with the zealous nature of his compatriots or something like that, you know?
It was like one of the few final trees or whatever was burned down or something like that because the space
Yeah.
Well, the
station
entire
blew up.
garden, I think. I think it was like the entire space station was in a greenhouse effectively, and they burned the entire space station to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I think it's also a important point to point out is that we only got the perspective of Mark's character. We didn't get anything else, like a little bit tidbit of what
Mhm.
the lady saying, like you did this. This is your fault. But like we never got like any other inkling of like what exactly happened. So, the
Mhm.
viewer is just kind of forced to just believe Mark and you just sympathize for him. But it's like maybe he really did the bad thing. Maybe he actually did mess up and he deserves to be down here. But all we see is a sympathetic Mark trying to plead his case. Like I apologize for what I did. I didn't know it was going to happen. So,
Well,
viewers are
okay.
quick to sympathize him. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he's saying I didn't know it would happen, I didn't mean to, it means he did it. Just
Yeah.
straight up. It just means he's remorseful that he did it.
yeah.
The part that
But
everyone is complaining about though is it. What
Yeah.
is
What
yeah,
it?
it
yeah,
is?
exactly.
What is it?
Yeah.
I
What
reserve
is it?
judgment until I know what it is.
I mean, yeah, that goes in part of what I'm saying. Like, we need to know more of like what it is or what exactly happened, not just from Mark's perspective. Like, okay, you did it, but like, what did you do? Like,
I
any
mean,
more
even from his
details? Or
perspective, if he explained it himself, I would be happy to, reserve judgment in that way. He didn't even explain it. He kept saying it wasn't him, it wasn't his fault. They did these things, they did that, they left me, they did all these. No one at any point ever explained whether it was Mark or someone else
yeah,
what exactly went on with that space station. The most that we can glean is from the little tidbits of like there was
mhm.
apparently some sort of mentor or general or something that was mentoring over Mark
Or his father or
and
something like that? Yeah.
or his father. What F we know, man. Like some dude was in charge of some sort of rebellion or something, I guess, or some sort of movement, and they were doing a thing, and they were depending on Mark to do a thing, and he didn't do a thing, and thus he survived, and all the other ones did not survive, and he got, scapegoated effectively. And he did do something that was worthy of being punished. It was just a matter of to what extent is he just the scapegoat for what other people did, and to what extent is he actually to blame for the outcome of whatever happened on that ship. And none of that has ever really been explained outside of there's something to do with trees. And the last remaining thing, there's they never explained that, by the way. There was also that person who was just inside of the ship and led him to the electric box that had the
That was a
stuff taped on
hallucination.
the inside.
Is that his
Hmm?
brother or something, or was that
Maybe.
hallucination?
I, I mean, if it was his brother, it would have still been a hallucination.
Yeah,
Because
I was gonna
Potentially, but I
say,
mean, then how did the seed get there?
well, again, like that was gonna be my next point. I wanted to talk about is like when does it turn in from reality to hallucinations? Like, when do you guys think it became hallucinatory hallucinatory to him? There we go. That's the word.
I would
Um,
say when he flashbanged the people with the X-rays and he was sent back down, somewhere along that transition, there was a shift in perspective. It feels like with like paranoia or whatever was going on through Mark's character's brain.
Yeah.
I think it was the second that he entered the first time. I think what had happened is that the blood carries some sort of pathogen, and that's what the growth feeds off of. That's why all of the growth happened off of things that were touching the blood, right? And I think that the the real like point at which he truly started to hallucinate like full heartedly is when the window cracked and blood got in his eyes. When the blood got in his eyes, it entered into his system, and at that point, he was like well and truly infected. But I think even before then, I think that some of the bacteria probably became airborne due to the heat. So there's a couple different
Possible.
ways, but I think but the second that he entered onto the planet, that's when everything became infected.
Planet? He was on a planet?
Yeah, the blood planet,
It was a moon.
moon, satellite, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Right. It says, since you're the only one who's actually wait, Ark, have you seen gameplay or watched people play the game?
Of
Or
Iron
just
Lung,
Rabbit?
I've watched a whole
Yeah.
lore video on it.
Oh, okay. Did they in the game? Um, did they ever like go into the backstory of the prisoner the player you are in the game, or is that something Mark made up? Because again, I've never seen like the gameplay or whatever.
I
Or
mean,
like is Mark his own
they
character? I guess.
explained that you were a prisoner, and there was a whole thing. I thought so in my head. I don't remember exactly because it's been years since I've seen that lore video. But I remember I thought that the guy who was helping you, that you told to shut up when you saw the hallucination, I thought that he was actually like plotting against you. Like he was like purposefully like he scapegoated you for his crimes or something like that. Let me see if I can find that video or something that like confirms that.
Yeah, well, the game does specifically state that you are a prisoner being put down there. What the crime is, I'm not sure if there was any mention of it. It's basically the general idea of you're a prisoner stuck in this iron cell, effectively, and now you can either die or try and survive the best you can and give us the information that we're looking for.
Sorry. I'm looking up lore stuff, and all I get is this. In Iron Lung, the main character yells and says fuck a lot. This is a subtle reference to him being played by Markiplier. Oh, really?
Oh, how
Connor, did he
subtle.
ask if it was the bite of 87?
The bite of
Oh,
87.
thanks, internet.
That's funny. I still think it's kind of impressive that Mark was able to stay in that, because that they had to make like a very cramped little quote unquote submersible for him to film that. And apparently, like Mark was saying, like it was a very tight space, and it's like I don't know if he said he was claustrophobic or not, but he said that it would like trigger someone's claustrophobia if they had that in that little thing he was in. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the engine thing, the restart, the black box, that whole thing, like that little crawl space down there, nah. Nuh-uh.
With the blood rising up, like bro.
Yeah. You would not catch me dead in there, all right?
I'd do it. Fuck it.
We just catch you dead above there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
you see
I
it.
would die above there, but I would not go down there.
Like Ark, hey Ark, I found the black box. Ark,
Fuck no.
you okay? He's just dead. He's just dead.
Oh. David. That's the one
But-
that I was thinking of.
But again, in the game, did they ever like explain like the people in the Iron Lung are never meant to come out? Did they ever say something like
Yes.
that, or they imply that? Oh, okay. In the
Yeah,
game.
so the at the end of the game, every single time you basically die. And the actual like non-canon ending, but the one that everyone gets, the default ending, it ends with the you running into the monster
Creature.
and it just breaks open the window area and just consumes you basically.
Damn.
And that's the whole like the spike thing when they had to ram the giant monster.
Yeah.
That's effectively how the game normally ends, is you end up ramming into this monster and it just breaks through the front of the submarine and kills you.
Ah.
But yeah,
Yeah, not a
there
good
was
time.
Ava, Jack, and David. Jack's the guy who got blasted with the radiation,
Deserved.
and then David was the one who,
Troy Baker.
um, sure, yeah, that guy. David was the guy who was on over the comms instead of Ava. Whenever Ava had to go take Jack to the medical bay, and
Yeah, there was
Skill
apparently,
issue.
Mark's name was
effectively
Simon.
3. Oh, Simon, that's what the name was. Yeah, right.
Simon Says. Just kidding.
Simon Says, "Shut the fuck up." You
But
know,
yeah,
there's
there
a
were like
monster and Simon.
there were three voices over the intercoms. The first one was the original
Ava,
yeah, Ava, the
right?
original lady.
Then it was
Yo,
Jack.
Then it was Jack, the Troy Baker's, and then the hallucination.
No. David was Troy Baker. Jack was the guy who welded the spike on the front who got blasted with radiation.
Okay.
Skill issue, honestly.
Yeah. Then David, David was voice number 2 on the speaker.
Right. I could have sworn that David, I have all this. I don't remember where it is, but David, I could have
Goliath.
sworn used Simon as a scapegoat. But I think I'm just making shit up. So I gotta actually see. Upon returning on the ocean floor, Simon recovers recordings from a previous pilot, proving that he was deceived about being the first sent down because he finds the remains of SM-08.
Question. Whenever Ava said that she's going to go back down to get him, that was all hallucination, right?
Who?
Because in the movie, at the end of the movie, like, you know how he was like, I found the black box or whatever. I found the other submersible that broke down or whatever. And Ava's like, I'm going to come get you. Like, was that actually going to happen or no? I think I know the answer, but just want to see if you guys know or what y'all think.
So my understanding with that line was because the black box is very valuable with all the data and information that was on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was no matter what would happen, as long as the black box was secure and safe, Ava was going to go find a way to get that black box. So wherever Mark's Iron Lung ship would be, or Simon's Iron Lung ship would be landed, Ava would have gone after the ship where or Simon was. It's hard to not say Mark.
I know, right?
Just Mark. Damn, Markiplier. What did you do, Brody?
So,
but that was actually real, though, right? That wasn't a hallucination. That's what I'm asking, though.
I mean, the line would make sense that it's real, but the interpretation of the line to me is more coming down for the black box, not necessarily for Simon.
Yeah.
I do. So this is where it gets a bit weird because, as we said already, it's Simon's perspective, right? So that's where all of the questions kind of derive from, right? It's Simon himself is at some point starts to hallucinate. He starts to lose track of time. He starts to lose his grip on reality because all he's doing is mapping and out the entire underground cavern area of this small subsection of this relatively small satellite moon in uncharted territory where he finds the SM-08, and it's zero contact with the outside world, basically surrounded in an ocean of blood, with nothing but a gamma thing, which that was the other thing. It had a note inside the book that said, hey, every time you use this, you're also blasting yourself with radiation. So he's getting more irradiated as the more he uses it, and he's even like taping it down. And that was the other part, like
he was using it as a light source.
Yeah, but he was holding it down, quote unquote, right, with the tape. But the tape eventually kept falling off, but it worked the first time relatively well until he had that hallucination of someone tearing it off. Like, what was that about?
I think that was just him, but he was at that point, I think hallucination and radiation poisoning was kicking in.
Right, but he didn't acknowledge it at all. It was only the audience that saw that hallucination. Maybe he was trying to like symbolize the footsteps. Maybe the footsteps were not very clear, so they wanted to like say, hey, there's a person up here for the audience to show, like, hey, there's something happening right now, and it's driving Simon insane. I don't know. And then he goes mad and he keeps trying to tape over that stupid thing and wastes all of his tape on it. That was funny.
Yeah, the big pile of tape.
Goes to show how crazy he's getting.
Mm-hmm.
Locked in a submarine full of blood. The blood drove him crazy. Crazy? You trapped in a sub.
Hey, at least he ended up making sure that the black box was easier to get by putting it on the surface.
I mean, that part is like in the game as well, from what I understand. And
So
apparently, yeah, the ending of like the true ending, you ram the monster instead of you getting rammed by the monster. Oh, pause. You full speed charge with an iron spike at the monster instead of the monster, don't say bust, breaking open the front of your sub and jump scaring and
being
eating
so
you.
careful with his words.
I have to be, okay? I know what company I'm within.
Shut up, Beads lover.
What?
Anyway, continue. You were saying like, so there's another ending where do you like kill the monster instead, or what happens?
No, you both die.
Oh.
So both the monster and Simon die in the canonic ending, which is what we saw in the movie. And then the black box rises up to the surface of the moon in the Life Fest. And then that's what the light shines over it, is basically the quote unquote good ending is Ava and her ship grab the black box and use the data from that to save the remaining forces of humanity or something. I don't know. I don't remember there ever being any explanation about like the prisoner's true backstory during the game. But I suppose that's also why Mark didn't put that into the movie, right? Is canonically there isn't anything.
Your random faceless Joe Schmo that is
Simon
sent in, no. What I'm saying is in the game, your random faceless Joe Schmo number 3521 or whatever that's going and being sentenced to death, but you are under the hopes of getting free, doing this basically deadly journey. That's kind of this way when you're playing the game, you're not you can impose yourself on the character that you're playing as opposed to um trying to relate to someone that isn't as much of a blank slate as you. And it's a storytelling trope, like 101, you know? Like you want the main character to be as bland, not bland, but you want it to be as relatable to the most amount of people as possible. And more times than not, if you look at it critically, they can come off as very bland, but that's just because they're the stand-in for the viewer. Okay, I think I'm talking to a wall and my internet cut out.
No, we hear you. I'm also reading. I'm reading some fan stories stuff. I'm hoping George was gonna, talk and give it an opinion or something. Just come on now. Maybe the only one over here.
My fault. I do think that's where I think that was difficult for Mark to like just plot progression wise. Like you can't just have like a no nameless, like kind of Rabbit said, no name Joe Schmo just be the character, right? So he had to make up a backstory, and I think that was the question I asked earlier. Like, what does that backstory correlate with the story, the limited story of the actual game? And I guess no.
I could have sworn that in the game you did have a name. They just didn't
So
call you that name until much later when you find out who you are through the hallucinations.
so that's gonna be that's gonna be where Mark worked with the game dev to make the movie. So the
Oh,
story
okay.
that was being created would still make sense, and so if in the game that wasn't if it wasn't set up that way with that information, at least not initially, then it was definitely developed for the movie. And I think they released an update to Iron Lung with the after the movie came out, like the Markiplier cut or something like that.
Markiplier cut?
Yeah, so that the game was ended up having a more similar flow with the movie because a lot of the story was fleshed out when the game dev was working with Mark.
I also want to know why Mark decided to make a movie about this game.
I think
Out
he
of
did
everything he's
explain that.
played, did he explain
I
that? I
think
didn't see.
I think the reason that he chose this game is because he found it to be quite honestly one of the only games that was short enough, had enough lore, and it had enough like ability to become a movie comparatively to all of the other games. Like there's one set dressing, there's no moving parts, there's no scene transitions, there's no camera funny angles that you can do outside of the fixed claustrophobic session of what's happening there, right? And the premise of the game is simple and straightforward enough that anyone could realistically comprehend what's happening without having to, while it's still being open-ended enough to be as, discussed. Like we've spent a good hour already just talking about some of the smaller nuances of what's happening, right? And that's just because he could go into that level of detail on the small things since there was not really much else for him to need to focus on, right?
Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
guess that's a good point. Yeah.
So
Um.
I think, yeah, I think he also keep in mind that he spent how long on this movie?
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
3 years for probably one of the more simple games.
And 2 of those years was basically all in editing.
Yeah, it took like a year to film, but like
I told you guys,
less of it was his
editing
editing.
fucking sucks.
I think I saw it was what was the podcast? He was on a podcast recently. He talked about like
It was
the
like
post editing progress.
lemon something.
Yep, lemon something, and he hates Adobe. He's using
Yeah.
Resolve, and
Yep.
he
I'm man.
he actually understood like a lot of the intricacy. Well, he used Premiere Pro for a while, but when in the beginning it was great, but over time it slowly became a shell of its former self.
Yeah, Adobe is
But
just falling off real hard.
yeah, it has. And he loved Resolve, and but he really learned a lot from that, from what he said, and he learned. He hopes to take the lessons he learned with this movie and use those better learned skills on the next movie he makes. So apparently he's looking to make another movie. I don't know what of, but it's going to be cool to kind of see director Mark or Art Mark go in his director phase of life, which is going to be really cool because I can't, I actually did enjoy Iron Lung through and through, and I can't wait to see what else he makes or decides to to make movies on. It's gonna be really cool.
I'm honestly surprised he went the movie route and not the game development route, because that's
I'm
usually what
not.
you would end up seeing. Well, I mean, with Lixian's been making his own games. I
Yeah,
figured that
but
he already knows somebody like in that sphere.
Lixian went from uh game development to editing back into game development. Markiplier went from video content creation into even bigger video content creation. Mark would
He's
never
been a
was
game.
He's been
He's been.
playing video games and making videos on playing video games, but he himself wasn't making video games.
I mean, that's true, and I understand that part. But it's to me an easier jump to go from uh playing a bunch of games and editing the videos down for those said games and to making a game than it is to making a whole movie. But I can see why maybe it
Yeah,
does
but you
align
got
more with video editing.
well, you gotta look at the track of Markiplier as his career. Um, his whole thing was more in line with making videos, and he's always had a passion for making videos. That going into game development didn't doesn't make as much sense as going into silver screen production.
I guess. I mean, I can see it. I truly I can see it. It's just one of those things where for me I'm like I just maybe I have my own bias with it, right? Of like I
That's the
absolutely
direction
would
you
have.
want to take.
It makes more sense for me, obviously, because I just play a lot of games, and I feel like it's one of those things where the way I learn things is I do a thing, I do it a lot, and then I analyze and I overanalyze that thing to the point where I understand how the bare bones backings of that thing is being made. So transitioning, like you can play 150 games. Eventually, if they're all of the same genre, you generally know what's about to happen. Like that goes say this true for movies. You see 100 movies, you're generally gonna know what's gonna happen if it's the same movie. Like it's the tropes, right? Like they're tropes for a reason, and if you know the tropes, you can make the trope.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think
I think his
I,
experience with games is just more extensive than movies, at least from what I know of him as a content creator. That's why I would assume you go into game making, not movie making.
Yeah, I mean he does play a lot of video games, but he, in terms of creating things, has always created videos. I mean, even so far as the choose your own adventure videos, you know, he built things, videos and video content beyond just playing video games, and all the
I was
way
gonna
down
say
Yeah.
to
like I
creative
just
acting
because he plays a lot
classes.
of video games, he just that wouldn't necessarily mean he would love to be a video game developer. I always saw Mark as more of like a movie or sorry, not a movie, a film or a kind of like cinema style like creativity, and it kind of just boils it to the the movie he made. And um, I don't know, that was my vibe from Mark. Like I always, it's funny. Like a while back, I'm like, I see this guy as like a director or a writer one day, like something.
Yeah.
Just the things he takes note of, like when he plays the games, like the let's plays I used to watch, like he would take notice of certain details that I wouldn't even catch, and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know. That's just
Yeah.
my opinion, though. This is my
Yeah, no,
opinion.
I can see that.
Yeah,
But
I agree with that.
also, it's gonna be cool now. He doesn't have an excuse when FNAF 3, the movie films. He's not gonna have an excuse to not make it. So, I think
Oh,
he
he's
did
suddenly busy
say
with his new movie. Yeah, Iron Lung 2.
Turns out he's the one
Si-
actually directing FNAF
Simon's
3.
Revenge.
Simon's Revenge. He
Simon's
becomes the
Revenge.
monster in this one.
Yeah. He's actually the antagonist, but we believe he's the protagonist. But there's a M Night Shyamalan fucking plot twist at the very end.
I see dead people.
I am the dead
He
people.
is the dead person. What do you mean?
Well, that's what the plot was. The main character was the dead person. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently, like from what I remember hearing him say, like in interviews and stuff, he wanted to do the FNAF 2 movie, but Iron Lung was it was more important to him at the time, and also I think he was like like neck deep into that, so he couldn't really do anything else. But
Yeah, well,
he
he
did
was
say,
away, yeah.
yeah, he did say though that now that he has a lot of open time now since Iron Lung's done, um, if they film the next like what 2-3 years, he said he'll make time to be in that one, which is interesting to say the least. 'Cause, like I want to know what role he'll do because from what I heard is that he was originally supposed to play the night guard in the beginning of FNAF 2, the movie. He was supposed to be that night guard.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but it was some
I never
random dude
watched the
that
movie.
they picked. Okay. It was
How
actually pretty
dare
good.
you?
It was actually not bad. Like if you go,
Yeah.
don't go in expecting cinematic fucking masterpiece. Don't do that. But if you go in as a fun, one chop off movie, it's actually pretty fun.
So, all right, when it comes to movie making, um, if the movie is based off of another medium that has a fan base associated with it, I expect that movie to be catering to that fan base with as much service to the fans as possible.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't do that and it tries to do its own thing, and even so far as to try and cast aside the original fans to try and get new audiences and new fans into it, I see that as a failed project. So
Correct.
Markiplier did an amazing job with that. And if FNAF 2 is catering to the FNAF crowd, they did a really good job with the movie.
See, I agree and disagree in some aspects. I agree that it should not deviate from the original material. I disagree in that if it only caters to the original audience, there's a lot of things that work in games that do not work in movies and vice versa. And
So
that's the reason why I think that the medium transfer from video games to movies is always a very difficult one, and not so much the other way, because everything you do in a movie you could realistically do in a game. It just may not be optimized.
that's why you get the shitty video game movies or movie video games. But but
Yep.
but that's missing what I was kind of trying to point out there is just because you're catering to the fans, or bringing giving service to the fans, doesn't necessarily mean that you can't deviate from the original story or what was going on in the video game, but you're giving enough of an homage to have the original audiences enjoy the experience, because the original audience is who would want to be is who you're targeting for that IP.
Mhm.
If you decide to
Yes.
say, yes, this is a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, but now um the main
Reimagined.
character but now the main character is actually um Doom guy running in and just shooting up all the animatronics. It's like, well, on one hand, there's a little bit of fan service, but the fan service is for the non Five Nights at Freddy's community. You're fan servicing to more the Doom community at that point.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying
and
to
I
get at
agree.
there.
Yeah. And yeah, and
Yeah.
I was trying not to disregard it. I was trying to expand it, because in my eyes, I'm like, yes, but in terms of like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, the reason why I'm saying that is because there was a lot of things that they added to the movie that made no sense unless you understood the game. They
Yeah,
didn't explain it at
that's
all,
fan service.
and it's like,
To me, that's fan servicey to the people. It's going to ruin the movie for the critics, obviously, because the critics didn't play the game, or if they didn't play the
well,
game.
it's not even about that though. It's just about imagine you're a viewer who's never played the FNAF games at all, right? You're just
Yeah.
taking your kids to the movie, and they're FNAF fanatics, and you're just being like whatever they want to keep them happy, and oh, they wanted the FNAF birthday party. I guess we'll go ahead and give them the bite of 87. Ha ha ha. Uh,
Hee
you
hee
go
ha
into
ha
the
hoo
movie
hoo.
theater and you have no idea what the movie is about, right?
Yeah.
You won't understand some of the references, nor like why some of the things that they do is
Yeah.
is even happening. The decisions they
That's
made in the
fine.
movie makes no sense. But I mean, the reason why I think that people get away with it is because it's a horror movie technically. And since when have people in horror movies ever made really good decisions, right?
Yeah,
Like,
there's that too.
just chalk it up to one of those, oh, it's just idiot horror movie logic. Oh, I mean, go into this direction where I just heard a scream come from. Well, I got me call the name out, so I give away my position 16 times. I gotta make sure they heard me. It's like, why? Why would you do this? But I think that's like expect that if you go to the FNAF movies. It's a good movie, but it's not better than like a 7, I would say.
Yeah, no,
7 out of 10.
I agree. I would agree but that is the good thing for those types of movies, if it's a new movie with new characters, new information, new IP, and it's coming out fresh into the world, then
Yeah.
you can get away with a lot more and it be a lot more leeway than if you're coming in like Batman versus Superman did, where it was a what if story before they really had established with the what the original content was for the story. And so for people that were long fans of Batman and Superman and fighting each other or when they interact with each other, they didn't really like the movie as much as people that didn't really have much understanding of Batman and Superman's dynamic with each other in comics or other mediums. They just know the superheroes. They watch the movie and they're like, yeah, that was a fun movie.
Yeah. You know, I can see that and I understand that. But that's where I'm like going back to like with the Iron Lung thing, right? The reason why I think that those ones are also a bit of an issue is because you have to set up the backstory like you're saying. And that's why on one hand, Batman versus Superman felt like nothing was emotionally hitting. There was no actual understanding. It was just, two superpowers hitting each other kind of ordeal. But on the other hand, if you go too far into it, then you get up in like a Markiplier situation of the Iron Lung where you are having to spend half of your movie effectively setting up the premise for the big bad monster to eventually, you know, start causing hallucinogenics and other things, right? It's almost a bit too much in time spent getting people emotionally invested. Um, and that's just a balance that I think people have to make when you take comics or games or whatever and you turn them into movies is you got to, if it was not based on a game, you'd still have to set up an emotional like backstory or whatever,
Yeah, I was
but
about to
nobody in your
say.
audience will have but nobody in the audience will have any precursory information to bias them in one way or the other. The reason why appending a book or a game or a comic
That's
to a
yeah.
movie is so difficult is because you have to relatively stay true to the source material, which is not true for something that never was one of those mediums.
Yes, you gotta cater to some degree. Like for example, Aragon when the movie came out.
Oh God.
Oh God,
I
it
forgot
it
about that movie.
as you should. Um, I read the Aragon first book and I really enjoyed reading that book series. But when I watched the movie, the first movie, there was a moment where a transition happened during the journey that felt like they skipped like 3/4 of the book,
Mhm.
and it was just like,
Because they did.
wait a minute, hold up.
And let's not forget, the other two most infamous ones, Avatar: The Last Airbender and Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief.
Yes, I don't know what the problem with Percy Jackson because I never read the series, so that's a
Oh
me
my
thing.
God, so many problems.
But with Avatar, yeah, there's so many things that just like, oh yeah, the comic book or the animated series will fill in the gaps of information. We don't need to touch it again. It's like, oh, no.
Well, no, both of them also had this one big problem of they would take storylines and just append them. They, like for Percy Jackson, they made the final boss, the final bad guy, totally different. They just completely changed out who the actual enemy was. And it's like, what do you mean? That's not what happened at all. Same thing with Avatar. There were so many times when it was like, wait a minute, normally this person would interject in with that fight. What about the entire Earth Kingdom, like King Boomy side of that happened? Like what
Well,
what
let's
about
not forget about
anything else
the
that happened it?
5 Earthbenders that needed to be used to move one boulder.
That was
Or
funny.
or the fact that the Fire Nation needs a lit flame already in existence to do firebending. It's like, since when?
Yeah, since when exactly? It's like there was yes, and that's that's a catering to the fans that isn't happening. effectively, because you're
Mhm.
treating it like, oh, this has already been done. I'm not even gonna bother being too elaborate with it. Or these are the key moments that I want in there. I gotta. I mean, okay. I will say with the Avatar: Last Airbender movie, as much as I despise that movie, it does have one kind of excuse in my mind, and that is it was condensing a whole season of content into 2 hours.
Not an excuse though. Like
I said that was the
I
only
understand it,
one that kind of made it a little understandable as why it felt very rushed and whatever. But the movie was shit still.
but even then, right? That was a choice. They could
Yes,
have made each book its own trilogy, and that would have solved that problem.
it would have. And at that point, there's money involved and studio decisions involved with spending the money on it that come into play that most people don't want to think about, which is a nasty factor for a lot of stories and stuff. It is. I agree. And that's why a lot of independent developers for like indie games do a lot better because they're not as restricted on that front as waiting for a decision from whomever it is that is billing them effectively.
I mean, fair, but at that point, right? Like, you're taking a franchise that is almost a guaranteed slam dunk. You had the full creative decision making like
Yep.
opportunities of that franchise. And it's already been proven. There's an entire fan base. The first movie did relatively well on like the first sales. The problem
Yep.
that it ran into was word of mouth and repeat sales. And it did that because of its poor decision making. I don't know. It's circular, I know, but still, like it's just infuriates me.
So if you're looking for any good or bad movies, let us know in the comments below. This has been Infinite Nonsense.
I was
We're
gonna
well
say, at
over
what point do
time.
we end this? By the way, what's the outro? I haven't done one of these in forever.
Pretty much. You can catch George at George D. You can catch Ark at Arch of
Heyo.
Abyss. And
I
you can
stream
catch-
now.
He streams now. Oh my god.
Been
Shut up,
so
Ant
long.
Lover.
That's your nickname.
And you can catch me at Rabbit Hat Plays. And until next time, this has been Infinite Nonsense. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Peace.